I've been fielding a lot of questions. I want to address that first. The outpouring from the community, from parents and students, has been tremendous. It's been mixed, but the main comments we've been hearing is the concern for the safety of our children, and I think we can all agree that's a priority. That's literally the least we can do is keep them safe. The recommendations that they've been providing, the feedback, the support, overall support has been phenomenal. In fact, the implementation of the backpack plan, which is beginning on the 22nd of September, we are going with clear backpacks only. The feedback and the support we're receiving from the community is beyond belief. Donations coming in, parents calling and saying, how can we help support this through funding? We've had businesses throughout the community saying, we'll buy backpacks. And I've heard, I haven't been on social media, but I've heard that there are parents out there actually buying extra ones and saying, contact me if you need it. That's the community we live in, folks. That type of support has been absolutely phenomenal. And I'll reiterate again, backpacks are not the only solution. What they do is help minimize the risk. And those are our initial goals. How can we minimize the possibility of somebody bringing a weapon into our schools? The communication that went out last night was focused on two things. One, it was reiterating the safety and security measures we already have in our schools. Chris Collar is our safety and security coordinator. He's an amazing man, and he goes through every building every year to ensure we are meeting specific safety and security standards. One of the strategies we're going to utilize, which was called out in the message last night, is that we are going to use an updated school safety assessment. Chris is going to work with the association, I'm sorry, I think it's called Office of School Safety. Lori, do you know offhand? Wisconsin School Safety Coordinators Association. He's going to work with them and use the most up-to-date site security assessment to ensure that we are keeping up to the standards that are expected. In addition, we are going to go to the clear backpacks. I already mentioned to you that this doesn't completely solve the problem, and I'm going to reiterate, we are looking to minimize risk. That is the goal. We just, David Johns and I, Associate Superintendent, just met with the Inner City Student Council to review the plan. Details of what this rollout of moving from traditional backpacks to the clear backpacks will be rolled out very soon. And then we will field questions from students and from families if they have concerns about what that's going to look like to fully implement. In addition, because we can't do this alone, Monday night we will be holding a community roundtable. It will be facilitated by our partners at CISA 7, Chief Davis and I, along with Mayor Genrich and President Lyerly, will be addressing the audience and review the incident and talk about measures that we will be putting in place. But then the important part is asking our community, what are we missing? What other strategies do we need to consider? So it will be set up at Preble High School in the cafeteria, beginning at 6 p.m. We call it a round table because that gives more opportunity for voice. So participants will be sitting at tables. We will provide questions for them to discuss. We will have district office staff at each of the tables to respond to if they have questions about the questions. And we will gather feedback. This is all part of the process of continuous improvement and making sure we are considering every strategy that we need to take to ensure our students are safe in our schools. And finally, before I turn it over to Chief Davis, for any remarks, and we open it up for questions. I want to again extend our appreciation for the enormous outreach from this community. The parents have been fantastic. I've received phone calls from community members. What can we do? The Preble parents have been amazing. I'm not surprised. Scared from the initial reaction of the initial event, but then moving right into what do we do? How can we help? So my sincere gratitude, because it's going to take all of us working together to tackle this. Okay. Chief?
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here today. I thought I would just give a very brief overview of what we can tell you about the incident at this point. I know there's been a lot of information out in public, but sometimes it's just helpful to start from what we know and continue the discussion from there. So what we know is that there was a fight yesterday in the lunchroom at Preble High School. One of the participants in this fight was taken into custody, was taken back to the office. And at that point, staff and our school resource officers realized that his backpack was in a classroom. Our officer went to the classroom, retrieved that backpack, and then searched it incident to the investigation into the fight and found a loaded handgun in the backpack. This individual was 16 years old, currently we're referring charges of disorderly conduct, battery, carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a firearm in a school, and possession of a firearm by someone under 18. One question that we've heard is whether he'll be charged as an adult. That decision really is up to juvenile intake and the district attorney's office. We are not referring adult charges at this time on this young man. And so that's what we know about the event. I'm sure there's lots of questions, and happy to let you get to those. Or actually, I believe we've got President Lyerly.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to add something because I didn't. We take this incredibly seriously. I know you get that. Students that do something like this, we will discipline to the highest of our ability. Students that do something like this and scare our student body and our staff and our community will pay a consequence. And I want to be very clear about that. In addition, any threats, whether they're in jest or serious, we weigh them the same. So if a student threatens to bring a weapon, we will handle that just as if they had the ability to do it. We've in the past, and we will continue to expel students that threaten the safety of our other students and our staff. We will respond to questions.
So, go ahead. Chief Davis, what made you check his backpack?
So I have to be very careful with how much detail I go into about the investigation right now, because this is an ongoing investigation and it doesn't stop just with the charges for this individual. Obviously we are interested in understanding the means by which a handgun wound up in the possession of a 16-year-old in a school. And there are probably some other people in that sequence of events who may be looking at criminal charges themselves, and so I want to be careful how much detail I give out at that level at this point.
Existing security measures, things like the strategic alarm system, was that system used? Were any other system used, and how effective did you find that?
Yeah, good question. Centegis is our security alarm system. This one didn't fall into the category of utilization for that.
Is the district looking at increasing security measures, and if so, what would that look like?
Yeah, everything's on the table. Another great question. Everything is on the table. We are continuing to review the current processes, and if there's room for improvement, which the assessment would tell us, we would implement that as well. This week we did increase police presence, as we've been sharing publicly. In addition, Nadia, we've increased the staff from district office in the buildings as well.
Talk about how the clear backpack policy will work. What if a student shows up with a traditional backpack? How do you monitor the situation? They still hide things within the clear backpack. Maybe talk about how that would work.
Yeah, so two parts to that, right? We will work with our students to ensure that if they don't have access to, because of financial reasons or otherwise, that they get a clear backpack. If they show up without one by the 22nd, we will work with that student to determine why. And they would just have to clean out their backpack and carry their items with them. And the second part was, what was your second question?
Kind of how you would monitor the situation.
Oh, is there still a possibility of, absolutely. Absolutely. I think about, this is weird, I was thinking about all of you and how safe are you can I say that you will be 100% safe in the buildings that you work? And I wouldn't be able to say that even if your bosses put in measures to protect you, there's no guarantee that somebody doesn't come into your news organization and hurt somebody. So I worried about that this morning for all of you. Clear backpacks are a step to minimizing the risk.
We got athletics and the students carry instruments in and out of school. Is that something else you're looking at as well? I mean, they got, if you're carrying their trumpet or something around,
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, you thought this through.
Yeah.
They're working on on how they're going to manage that. What I picture, and I can't guarantee this is what they're going to do because the team is working on this, but what I picture is I'm a softball player and I got my bag. I'm going to open it up and somebody's going to look at it at the front entrance, giving the thumbs up, and then those would be secured somewhere. I would assume like a locker room or a storage room. That's just an example of what I think the school could do. So more to come on that one.
And as far as affordability goes for getting these backpacks to the families that maybe can't afford something like this?
Right.
How that works?
And that's where those donations are coming in. When we have more information about that, we'll share and make sure the companies that have been, there's such an outpour. It's unbelievable. I don't want to embarrass you, but some of our staff were brought to tears today by some of it. This community is really stepping up. Again, because our students, their safety is central to us as a community, and it's wonderful to see all of them just say, what can we do to help? So thanks for asking about how can they get one. We'll be getting that specific information out. But I would also encourage any families that are right now, they know they have a concern about getting access to one, that the students or the family contact their student services. Counselors and social workers at the school will make sure they get a backpack.
Do you see this as a permanent change, the clear backpack?
Let's see how it goes. I'm not interested in messing with families and going back and forth with backpack today, no backpack tomorrow. I want to see how this works. We are going to measure its effectiveness and monitor and talk to our students, talk to our staff, talk to our parents. And then if we need to make adjustments, we would. But I don't want to get into this back and forth. Great question.
Another backpack question. It's 6th through 12th grade, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And for those students that have to carry sensitive items, women in particular,
Yeah.
how is that going to work?
Yeah, we had this before, and I was trying to remember. We did this at Preble. It was probably pre-COVID or shortly thereafter. There were some bomb threats. Do you remember this? Some of you that have been around?
They're going to be allowed to have a small pouch that they can carry like their cell phone in, AirPods, personal items.
Yeah,
So
thank
they'll
you.
have a small table time pouch within their carry-on.
Thank you. I knew we did something, but I couldn't recall what it was.
Going along with that, it's for students grades 6 through 12. Do you have the total number of students that is?
We've been working on that. Did we get a total number?
I can get that to you. Actually, I have it in my office. I haven't added up the numbers yet, so I don't have the total.
Okay.
Will there be any additional resources when it comes to officers at the school?
You mean on a permanent basis?
From now on, yeah.
Yeah. What we're currently looking at is a strategy to utilize community partners. Again, the outpouring from the community about how can we support, and some of them are saying we can physically support. That's the strategy we're looking at right now.
And is Monday the flexible deadline, or is that the hard, solid date to have the backpack? Is there going to be a grace period? Or?
Yeah, Monday the 22nd is the deadline.
Could this be extended to all grades?
Do you want it to be?
Or-
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Was there an SRO at Preble when the fight started? Because there's been a little bit of back and forth on that.
Is it, please?
Yes, there was a regularly assigned school resource officer. And in addition, we've worked with the school district over the last few years at a few of the high schools to provide an additional officer who just comes in for a few hours during the lunch hour to be there. And my understanding is that officer was also present when the fight happened.
Would you consider increasing the number of SROs in the district, or is that a no-go for right now?
You know, like Superintendent Beyer says, anything is on the table at this point. You know, there's some challenges with something like that in the short term just because of recruiting issues and some vacancies within the police department. You know, our SRO program is fully funded by our partners at the school district. But, you know, we'll certainly work with them to redeploy resources. And we've been fortunate over the last few years to be able to be flexible and to respond and add resources when we know we need to. And we'll certainly continue that and do everything that we can to support our schools.
I have another question. It's for you. So a lot of parents on social media are calling for metal detectors. If you could address
Yeah.
why that is or is not a feasible solution.
Yeah, it has been brought up, and we will continue to review that. There are a couple school districts in the state of Wisconsin that currently have metal detectors. We'll be reaching out and reviewing to see if it would be something a strategy that we could use.
Has the timeline to upgrade secondary school entrances changed at all? I
Oh.
understand that kind of was brought up with the referendum planning, but it hasn't really been brought up since like June 24, I think, about there.
Yeah, that could be. The timeline is still the same for those entrances. Keeping in mind that the secure entrances are about safety for visitors, from visitors entering.
Was there, oh, go ahead.
I apologize if you said this. Did you say the 16-year-old was expelled? Or are you not allowed?
Oh, we're so early in the process. These acts will not be tolerated. Expulsion would, yes, that would be a goal. We're not there. We're not there.
Was there a significant drop in attendance over the last couple of days at any of the schools that you may have noticed because of this incident?
You know, I appreciate that question because when we look at what does the incident cause in disruption, that's something we use to measure what is the consequence going to be. We did see a dip. We did see a dip. I didn't look at numbers yet for today, but yesterday we did.
What are the financial implications of increased security? Things like metal detectors. I know that you guys, I guess, aren't paying for their backpacks, but just that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're still gathering those numbers. That'll be part of our investigation into what strategies would we be able to take on. And I'll add to that what I've heard from Preble parents is there should be no cost limit and that they would be willing to help support if funding is needed.
Was this backpack policy modeled after any other districts that you've seen? And if so, what's kind of been the effectiveness?
There are other districts that have used it. A lot of districts go with no backpack, and I don't know if I've mentioned that, but that is a strategy. We're going to begin here and, like I said, evaluate and see how it works out for us.
There was some concern, I think, because things were posted on social media and then there wasn't anything that kind of came out for a while. Having gone through something like this, is there anything that you would change about that communication strategy or anything like that?
What I would really want to avoid, Nadia, and that's an important question about timeline of communication, is putting out something that isn't accurate or that all of a sudden we have to pull back because it causes confusion. And that's the last thing we need for a community is to put out information and then have to reel it back in. I think we lose some trust when we do that as well. So we're very measured in how and when and what we communicate to ensure accuracy. I'll leave it at that. Would I change anything? We met with students today, the student group today. I would have tried to fit that in sooner. I don't know when possibly we would have done it, but if I have to reflect and say what was one thing you wish you would have done sooner, it would have been meeting with our inner city student council sooner.
Was it just the one student that was involved, that was disciplined, or were there other students that were disciplined as well in this situation?
Just like with the police, our investigation is still ongoing. Good question.
James come up and make some statements?
President James Lyerly.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to take a few minutes to provide the board's perspective on the events of the last couple of days. The board, along with the district, have always prioritized security of our students. It's part of our mission. And historically, we have done that. We've funded the strategic system that was referred to earlier. Through referenda, the community has supported us in that effort, allowing us to better secure our interests. And we actually fund, as the chief said, 11 school resource officers to work in our buildings that have specific training to be in and amongst our student body. The last couple of days, and finding a gun that was loaded at one of our high schools has communicated to us that we need to do more, and that's what we're hearing from the community. And I really applaud the district in taking really timely, decisive action to put a plan in place that's both focused on some near-term objectives that Superintendent Beyer spoke to about, making sure that we can put in place some practical mechanisms to make sure that guns don't come into our school. It's not the total solution, and we understand that. I also communicated the day of to Superintendent Beyer that any plan that the district comes up with should not be discounted because of expense without first coming to the board. Right? And that's our commitment to the district, is that in the event that we need to manage the affordability issues with backpacks, that we are partnering in that effort with them. So I hope that you heard from us today that we are looking to take very decisive action, but also collaborate with the community. Monday night, I really encourage everyone to come out. I know that when we engage in conversations about security, people bring different experiences, different opinions to that conversation. We want to hear them all. So I encourage everyone to show up Monday night and help us. Thank you.
If I could add just to see something, say something. If you could somehow include that in your messages out. Chris Collar has the exact information, but we really want to stress that if students or adults out in the community hear something concerning, they can anonymously report it. So if you can help us get that information out, it would be very helpful. Thanks for coming, you guys. Appreciate it.